All righty then. We are live.
Awesome.
What's up? What's up, Adam? How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. So, thanks everyone. Thanks everyone for joining us. Oh, I'm just hearing myself back in the YouTube video. Sorry, I just muted myself. Hiccups. That's how it goes. So, welcome everyone. Today we are going to talk about some fancy stuff, about more complex use cases of personalization. And for that, we have Adam here who knows a whole bunch of that stuff. So, Adam, you want to introduce yourself a sec?
Yeah. My name is Adam Lamarre, platform architect at Uniform on the Optimize team, and mostly focused on building out the tracker and other SDK aspects of Uniform Optimize. So, yeah.
There you go. Thank you for joining. And so, before we continue and dive deep into all the relatively complicated stuff, but also really cool to demo stuff, let's talk a little bit about personalization to make sure that we all have the basics in place. And then from there, we go into the use cases, and then it's Adam's party, basically. So, how we work at Uniform is kind of API first with personalization. And so I'm still pretty new at the company. So Adam, when I say something that doesn't quite fit, please break in and tell me.
Well, yeah.
There you go. So generally how we feel like personalization works is that users actually have a specific intent of doing something on your website, right? So content speaks. That's what people love. So if you have the right content for the right person based on the intent that they have with your website, it's all party, everybody's happy. So in this case, I have a little example here. Right now it's called yoursite.com, but let's imagine this is a conference website, right? And then in this conference website, we have separate talk tracks. So we have talk tracks for marketers, we have talk tracks for developers. There's also a call for papers campaign, so people can write in to submit a talk. And in that, we have three different intents, right? You might be interested in marketing talks, you might be interested in developer talks, or you might be a speaker. And so we call those things intents. And then when we know the intent, we can start by figuring out what kind of signals we can give for the system to be able to personalize for you. And so if you can see here in the middle, the person who has the intent to submit a talk actually has a signal that they read the call for papers, right? They might have even received an email and clicked on a link. So these different signals actually give us the opportunity to rank the user, to make something personalizable for them. And so those different signals can also have different strengths, right? So when you come from, let's say, the email campaign, and because we know you're a speaker, so you have received an email, do you want to fill out the call for papers? Sure. You click on that link, and that signal is actually super strong. You can see that here on the left. That's 100% strength. We can also, maybe we just went to the call for papers page. So we can also track the fact that you have the intent and that you're interested in doing something with the call for papers, but it's not the email, but it's the page. And then it's 50% strength. And so having these kind of things figured out, we can start personalizing content for you based on your intent and your interests and all the signals and all the things together. And so I guess this might have been my fastest way of trying to explain how personalization works with Uniform. Adam, do you maybe have something to add to round it out?
No, I mean, I think that summed it up pretty nicely. And the reason why it was so short to introduce it is because that's one of our goals. One of our goals is to get up and running with personalization as fast as possible. So
exactly.
we really
it simple, right?
Keep it simple, allow you to control what signals get triggered and when they get triggered. Allow you to build those out without complex rules or anything like that. So that's the goal. So
yeah. So I'll just put this back. As you can see, we have a couple of cases we want to go over today. And so I kept this one short, so Adam has a little bit more time to actually go a bit deeper and talk about those cases and to also see how they are coded. So Let's start with case number 1, which is our job board, in which we also use Algolia with Uniform to personalize. And in the chat, please feel free, if there's any sort of questions or you have remarks, please feel free to share, and we can discuss those comments as well. So Adam, the space is yours.
Yeah,
you might want to share your screen or maybe start with the story.
I can do that.
Here we go.
Awesome. Looks good.
There it is.
Awesome. So we have this beautiful job board, kind of personalized site. And we wanted to put this together as a way to show, how to make like a behavior-driven site and actually allow personalization to happen in kind of subtle ways. So this site has job postings. The content is completely random on it. Some of these titles are actually pretty amusing. I kind of wish I would have one of these job titles. They're pretty funny.
Yeah. So let's have a look. So there's healthcare, and what else?
Yeah. So we got healthcare jobs. We got nursing jobs, management, and the basic flow here is, someone would come to this page, land on the home page, and they basically indicate that they're interested. So, maybe I'm looking for a nursing position. I'll click I'm interested. This takes me to the detail page, and this is maybe not exactly what I want. Maybe I want something a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And when I navigate back to the home page, things have started changing. You can see the hero. We now have a call out saying start your next adventure in nursing today, whereas before this hero basically just stated, find your next adventure today. So we can start little tweaks there to sort of personalize it for a user's behavior. And
so Adam, is this part now also remembered? So when I come back to this page, let's say tomorrow, will I also see nursing here?
Yeah. So you have control over how long that data sticks around for. So we have sort of two layers. We have a visitor layer and a visit layer. Visits expire after a certain period of time, whereas visitor will stick around for as long as that data is available and the storage that you choose. So
okay, cool.
You have that control, and you can configure where that data is stored on the actual signals themselves. So we actually got two things out of this. Beyond the hero, if you actually pull out the sidebar as well, I didn't show this before, but we have categories and locations here as well. So those are the two sort of entities on the site. So you have locations, all the different locations. And this list actually gets personalized as well. So the job we actually clicked on was in this West Kenneth town, town. And before, this would have just been somewhere along the way, but we know the user is interested in a job in West Kenneth town, so we can start personalizing the list based on this and then give them this higher in the listing, basically.
And so is this list coming from some database, or is this maybe already Algolia data, or how does that work?
So the site's actually kind of unique. All this data was sort of generated just using a library to generate fake data, and basically just this whole site was generated off of a JSON file. So there's actually there's no Uniform does a lot of CMS work, and but the tracker is kind of agnostic on where your data comes from, and to have a JSON file sort of backing this site up is pretty interesting, and it shows how flexible it could be depending on where your data comes from. So it doesn't. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, we have the locations personalized, and we have the categories personalized as well. And we also started pulling out the categories here as well. So we went to a nursing job. The nursing position is now highlighted here. So if you wanted to re-navigate back to just the nursing listing, you'd be able to do that here as well pretty easily. And also our data has changed as well. So we have this personalized job postings for you. And before, this was just sort of a recent postings, a general a listing of the most recent postings on the site. But we've started to sort of adjust it a little bit and show and do our best effort to show jobs that may apply to the user. So we lucked out here, and we actually have all nursing positions here in West Kenneth town. Again, totally random assignment. These job titles have no relation to nursing, but
no, exactly. That's what I thought. Because you know what, I used to be a nurse, and we didn't have a legacy infrastructure agent.
No,
I do like that title though. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it would be interesting. Yeah, so we have that there. And we also have the nursing section has been resorted. So if you remember before, this was actually the second section. So healthcare is now second, and we can sort of basically start ranking even the sections as well. So we can have these really dynamic listings below. And even these as well, even the other listings have sort of benefited from that one interaction. We've done one interaction, we visited one page, but we're now personalizing each list as well inside here as West Kennethtown.
There you go.
So you might not be interested in that nursing position, but if we can start servicing stuff that's in the same area as you, then that's also possible here as well. So best effort to do, best as we can to match the most relevant content to you, essentially. And then we don't have any status.
The whole point is that the user probably doesn't really realize that we're personalizing. It's just working kind of secretly behind the scenes, and it's just a website that really works for you. I guess that's the point here, right?
Exactly. And I mean, that personalization was very fast. I mean, you didn't even notice it happening, right? It's like we wouldn't navigate to a page and navigate it back like it was a normal interaction. There was no long delay. It was just super fast loading that data. So
this is basically a Jamstack app, right? So it's static. So so basically how this is now rendered is based on hydration then.
Exactly. So
cool.
we have a listing of most recent jobs. So the goal, and then we have that in page state. This is a Next.js app, so we have it in page state, and our effort is to show we have a list of maybe 10 or 20 jobs for most recent jobs, and our effort is to show you the ones that match your behavior. So you might not get any particular matches in this case, and you might want to use Algolia, maybe even in this recent job posting section as well, to actually load, and we have demos of that. We can show that later.
Sure.
And so you might want to hit Algolia to actually render the content for this if you have a personal experience. If you really want to make sure you get that personalized data for each user. So, but this is sort of best effort. So not only is this a static app, the backend is also static as well. So it's static. It's static all the way down. So it's And the other thing I wanted to show here is I wanted to start showing out the Algolia stuff too, because that's pretty neat. So we have the search box here that we have ignored up until this point. And if we did not have if we didn't have any scoring at all associated with us, this wouldn't rank anything. But if I just started coming in here and typing legacy infrastructure agent, now we're getting these ranked for us as well. So we're actually adding conditions to the Algolia query, and we're not excluding anything. We're allowing things to fall through. We have no ranking on healthcare, Dimitri port in this example, but we allow these to come through. But we're doing our best effort to surface things that are most relevant to how we're tagged.
So basically on the intent tag of nursing right now and the location, you add that to the Algolia search algorithm, so they return different matches based on the intent tags that you had selected previously, right?
Exactly. So uniform tracker keeps scoring data internally, and basically we translate that scoring data, and we add those conditions onto the Algolia query. And then
so the Algolia index has those tags also for each item.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Makes sense.
Yeah. So, but if we went and did some other actions, as well, if we came down here and looked at a management position as well, all these scores are additive as well. So if I came in, looked at this new management position, came back, we'll now start to get a different personalized experience. So I'll have
there you go.
Second. Cool. So we haven't forgotten nursing. Nursing's still most relevant, and actually these are probably a tie because nursing. We visited one nursing page and we visited one management page. But we can start building these things, and now we know even more that we're interested in. I think the one I clicked on was West Kennethtown as well, so we know that.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll have even more strength in West Kennethtown than we did before. So these really, the scoring really paints a picture that represents, what the user's done on the site, the scores they've accumulated across the site, and we just use those in consideration with building these components and Algolia queries and everything like that. So if I went up here now and went to senior group consultant, if I started searching for, senior consultant, so we have some West Kennetown. So West Kennetown is actually ranked higher now because we have a lot of strength in West Kennetown. So it's going to start recommending things that are just in that town more, but it will factor in the just management positions. And so these are management positions and nursing positions. So, yeah.
So how hard was it to put this together? Because I can imagine, let's say you're Amazon, right? And whatever you search is going to be personalized a little bit because they know your buying history, and there's this huge algorithm and all of that stuff behind this.
Yeah.
But this is just a static example.
Yeah.
But you're doing pretty sophisticated stuff here. So was it really hard to put this together?
It wasn't. I was able to. It didn't take long. It didn't take long at all to put this together. And do you want to show some codes to see how some of these interactions look like? So.
Yeah, I think that would be really interesting. Unless you have another story, and I just completely derailed what you wanted to say.
No, the only thing I was going to do is I was just going to go to the bottom. We have a little forget me button down here, and we can just reset our state essentially, and we get back to where we were before. No changes at all. Basically, just a reset, and we can kind of see that the page is sort of gone back to its cold state. We don't have any data based on the user or anything like that.
So before you show any code, is there a way to show that scoring that we did? Let's say you click on nursing. How do you now know that we have to personalize for nursing? Can you show the score somewhere?
We do. We have a Chrome plugin. I don't have it installed right now. And the site doesn't run the correct version for that.
Yeah. So I'm just going to console log it then.
Yeah. So we'll show the console log, but we have a really nice Chrome extension as well. And it actually will show you your scoring data and everything. So this is going to be useful.
Well,
so
there's lots of console logs here.
Yeah. So yeah, this isn't going to be totally useful. So, but there's a Chrome extension, and it will allow you to actually try. No. There's a Chrome extension, and it'll actually show you the scores that we have based on the user. And it'll show you, it'll actually let you run out like what if scenarios as well if you want to try different scenarios where you're adding strength to certain intents and stuff like that. So that's all available in there. This site is just, it doesn't work on this site. So
okay, sorry for the question. Next time.
No worries. Yes,
Next
absolutely.
Week, guys.
Yeah. No, the Chrome extension is really cool, and it's a really great for testing out your different scenarios and seeing how they look on the front end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For QA, that will be amazing because otherwise you have to go click 15 things to get a specific point. It's pretty hard to get there sometimes, or to automate it, for example. Yeah. Anyways, let's dive into some nitty-gritty stuff.
Cool. So I think I want to show the Algolia stuff first because that's what we came here for today.
You might want to zoom in just a little.
Okay.
There we go.
How's that good?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. And first I want to just highlight sort of the Algolia feature that we're leveraging, and I'll just jump back over to my browser real quick. So we're actually using filter scoring to do a lot of this. This is a built-in Algolia feature, and they basically allow you to specify field filters. I'll zoom this a little bit as well.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so Algolia lets you provide an array of filters. It could be in the form of a string, or you can use an array and represent those in an array as well, all the different facet filters. So we're using these to do that. So basically you can say the field name you want to filter on, the value that you want to filter, and you can associate a score with it.
Okay.
And what Algolia does is it takes those scores and will actually reorder the results for you. So if you have a score that's you're assigning a value to Google here 3, it'll come in. It'll any results with those values get a score boost of 3, and then these can add on to it. And there's also an option that we're using as well to make it basically a sum of those scores. So if you have multiple matches, then those will add up on the actual result score that you get back. So if you're tagged in multiple things like we were, we're tagged with West Kenneth Town and nursing, these scores will actually add up. So things that are tagged with both, in this case, if you had both of these tags, you'll end up with a score of 5, and those will rank higher in the listings compared to something that was only ranked a 2, essentially, and only had one of the tags.
Oh, wow, this makes it pretty easy integration-wise, right?
Yeah, it's really nice. It actually fits really well with how we structure things.
You're basically concatenating a string based on whatever we want to filter to and run.
Exactly. And this is the filter. This is the sum or filters as well. So this is the option we're leveraging as well. So we're setting this to true, basically saying we want these scores to be added together. And it works really nicely. And it's a really seamless integration between the tracker and Algolia queries. So cool. all sorts of different ways that you can add these in, but they're very powerful, and that's how we're sort of approaching things. Cool. So we jump back to the code. So the tracker itself. So this is Next.js. We have starters and we have component libraries for Vue, and we also have just examples for regular vanilla JS as well. So if you don't use a framework, then that's totally fine. But this is using the React library that we ship, and basically there's a hook that gives you. It can give you the scores, and this is you'll receive updates to the score as your scoring changes. So we can listen for intent scores, and basically when a user executes a query, we're going to take those intent scores and transform them and put them on our Algolia query. So this is just an object, and we just the keys of this object are intent names. And these are the same intent names that are defined in Algolia as well, in that intent tag field we're filtering on. So basically, we iterate over those keys, and we build a tag filter, which I just showed before, for each one. And this handles building out that query that I just showed the docs for. So it adds the field name, it adds the value, and then if a score is passed, it also passes that in as well and adds it to the query. So each one of those tags that you're tagged with get added to the query, and then we have all the pieces that are basically collected, and it kind of looks like this. I kind of put an example there just to illustrate a little bit.
Yeah.
So you have it basically we're defining on our search results. You have an intent tag field. This is a value of it, and we're boosting it by 50 because that's our score in that value. We have a score of 50.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're transferring those scores from the tracker scores onto the Algolia query.
So this is not a hard-coded score, right? This score comes from the uniform.app dashboard.
This score is actually defined by you, and
exactly.
If you're tagged as dev 50 here, and that's how you're classified. These scores get added on to the actual Algolia query. Yeah. Same way if I was marketer 25. These would add together for results that match both. But these come from your particular scoring, and that's how we can create the sort of unique personalized components just for you, essentially.
Yeah. And so in this demo, do you query Algolia for each list everywhere on the page? Do you query Algolia this way, and therefore you're able to show stuff? Or is this only in this type ahead thing?
Only in the type ahead right now.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yep. And we have an example on the Hackathon demo. Hopefully we'll have time to showcase a little bit that we actually do query Algolia dynamically in components as well. Because we wanted like a hyper personalized site. We wanted the best possible results for each user. And we had a lot of content. So obviously, if you have a lot of content, a component like this that pulls from a subset of 20 on your site isn't gonna cut it. So you want something that you can source from all your data, and Algolia is a great place to get that most relevant data using the structure.
Yeah, exactly. It's cool because I'm thinking if you want to show a list of jobs, potentially getting all that stuff from an Algolia index based on this query, you can kind of personalize it from our end with our intent tags in their index, and then showing some stuff. But then they almost become the database.
Yeah, and for the listings, they would power. Yeah, and in that case, they would power it. And it's really neat as well, because if you did it that way, you could do pagination, and as you went through, your scores would still be reflected even on page 2. You would see you would have a whole totally personalized listing, even on page 10. So, and that you just get that using the structure just out of the box, so there's a lot of power in doing and structuring stuff this way. So
yeah, cool.
So yeah, so basically you get those keys, and then because these are filters, these are things that we're assigning score to, but they're filters, and we don't want to filter necessarily. We want to just boost. So we basically had a fallback condition that basically allows the rest of things, even if they're not tagged with the things we specify, to actually surface as well.
Sure.
And so we're not filtering, because that's not our intent here. Our intent is boosting. So we have all these conditions, and we have our fallback condition, and this does add 1 to your score, but your other scores are far more.
Yeah, they're so much higher. It's fine.
Yeah.
So this is interesting, right? Because when you do one of those type ahead things, you tend to want to filter, but we don't actually do that. We kind of add it. You kind of order which one is more important on the top, and the rest also gets a score, but just a bit lower.
Yeah. Yeah,
right? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, we are filtering based on the queries, the text they type in, but that's all. That's all we're filtering on. We're not. Yeah, so we're just boosting and trying to get people to the content faster, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I'm running through my brain now, because I have something similar to this on my own website with tags and filtering and everything. I'm just going to have to add this now.
Yeah,
it's done.
It's really.
It's not that hard, I guess.
No,
I'm just gonna have to do it. Yeah.
No, it's not. And just to show some of the personalized stuff as well. We showed in the listing on the sidebar. We had a location here, and now we don't. So we had listings here. So these are personalized as well, and we do ship a React component to do personalization, and you basically just pass it a list of variations you want to personalize. And then it sort of does the rest for you. It takes those variations, it'll run personalization on them, and it'll give you back an array of variations back. And it can indicate if it actually personalizes variations or not. And then basically your structure, your goal is to just take those personalized lists and just render it out to the page, essentially.
So here you write count equals 3. So what does that mean here?
By default, personalize tries to serve you the one best result. So we want to find the most relevant thing. In terms of a hero, you generally only want one result back. So we default count to 1, but you can also specify 3. If you wanted the entire list back, you could come in here and go categories.length. And
so this would order them based on the personalized score that you have for each of those categories, basically.
Exactly. So it would give you the entire list back, personalized for you, and you could do whatever you want with it. So this is using sort of the render props method that personalize has. It also has a component kind of generation component as well. But then it gives you this variations back, and you can do whatever you want with them. And then you could even display a message saying that this is personalized for you. And we were doing that on the page. And then this other prop here, this personalize only, this lets you filter basically if you only want results that the user's been personalized on and you don't want anything else. So, our by default, this would give you maybe a default variant that you have set up as a catch-all. But in this case, we want to just surface, the most relevant categories that are to the user. So if we this actually appears in the sidebar. It'd be right here, and we had nursing here before. So if I went back to this nursing and came back, we have nursing here now, and this basically is a result of this flag being passed in. Because if this was set to false, then we would get things that we might not have relevance on, but we want to just create shortcuts basically for the user to access that content quickly again, basically. So we can pass that flag in and have personalized, only give us things that we actually have strength on back, essentially. So.
Okay, cool. So now I understand the count of 3 because you have those first 2 and now nursing came as the third. Yeah, okay. And if you open it up, that's the nav dropdown on line 77, I guess, right?
It's actually this. There's actually, it's actually this. So if I went to, if I close this, there's a component underneath. You just can't see all of it right now because we're filtering by personalized only. So if I went to management, came back, I'm now management nursing. So we'll just keep adding to this real quick and just kind of show it. So I'll add social services, come back, I got social services here now. And this is sort of where that 3 kicks in. I go,
this is the 3. Okay, cool.
So if I go back here and go nonprofit, I'm interested in this. It's probably gonna kick one of those out or not even surface because we only want 3. But if I went back and actually,
if you go to nonprofit again now, it's more important and therefore you might see it in the list.
Yep. So now nonprofit is actually the most important because before they were all tied. Each one had a similar strength. We visited one page of each one. They're all similarly strength. And went to nonprofit twice, and now that's the most important one. Essentially, nonprofit was just kicked out, initially because it was further down the list, and it just wasn't. It was just tied with the rest of them. So nonprofit is now our most important one because we visited 2 pages that related to nonprofit. So.
Okay, that really works, doesn't it? It's crazy, and you almost don't notice, and that's what I like so much about it.
Yeah. It's super fast, and it's very responsive to your behavior. So if I'm coming here and click nursing now, so we have nursing and nonprofit now, and it just works. It's very fast. There's no lag on it at all. So.
And so, how do you track this? Is this tracked on like page level? The intent of nursing, or is it like in a component? How does it actually work?
Yeah, and the answer to that is you could do both. Tagging on a component level is actually very interesting, and it's something where we do in a couple different places. It's because you could actually create sort of a composition of personalization, just depending on what components show on the page. So multiple components can push behavior in as they're rendered on the screen. So
so you could have 7 components that make some sort of calculation of 5 different intent tags, but maybe 2 components have the same intent tag, so that one is stronger on that page.
Yep. So the page will collect all those tags and add them on. And the components you actually see will actually be result in the score that gets pushed into the tracker for you, basically. So it's that way is actually really powerful, and it's really cool that you can basically do a composition of components that push score. This particular site is just pushing on a top level, so on a page basis. So if I go to pages and just go to my job slug page, very simply, there's basically a hook to push behavior on with called use behavior tracking. You pass it this intent tag object, which just specifies the relevant things to this particular job page that's being viewed right now, and those get pushed into the tracker. So basically, you just need this one hook to start tracking behavior, and this could be on a page level, or this could be in the component level as well.
So that's really easy. And so that intent tag right now, this comes from your JSON, or does it come from the intent tags that it downloads when you basically build the page?
Yeah, so this intent tag is what the actual job is tagged with, which would either come from your CMS or it would come from, in this case, my JSON file. So this is
you just have a big manifest with everything in it for this website.
Exactly. So there's about 1,000 jobs in here, and we're not pulling these. We're not pulling these for each page. It's we're basically pulling from this in get static props instead of hitting a remote data source. I kind of like exploring this idea because it allowed me to rapidly prototype.
Exactly. You don't need a CMS now, right? You can just put it in and it just works.
Exactly.
I kind of like that. Yeah, it's cool.
So this is the intent tag field. This is the structure of it. So this particular job, this product accountability agent in West Carmen is tagged has a healthcare intent. And these are the things you would define in uniform.app. and you would go in there and create an intent called healthcare, and that's sort of how the mapping kind of works there. So this healthcare has a entry here as well. So we have this healthcare in the manifest, and this manifest gets downloaded from CDN when you actually build your site. These intents get pulled down from uniform.app one time, and they actually get baked into your application. So these get pulled down. So you would create an intent called healthcare, and in this case, on this site, we're only pushing behavior for healthcare. So we only have one signal, on each one of these right now, because we're only using behavior on this site. So basically, on this, go back to this.
Because before you continue here, this is actually for you, this is very normal, right? But I'm now starting to grasp more and more how incredibly easy it actually becomes conceptually, right? Because in your uniform.app, you set up your intent tags.
Exactly.
Then on build or on npm run start or whatever you do, or yarn, it actually grabs that stuff. Yeah, here you go on the screen. It grabs these and it puts them in a JSON file. So in your JavaScript bundle, you have the intent tags. And then if you either have a CMS or you have something static like you're just showing, there are intent tags there as well. And then the only thing it has to do, our tracker has to just match them. And then tracking is done. And to me, it was black magic how to do this on hydration. But now it's actually relatively simple. It's just putting them all together, sorting a list to the most important one, and that's what you show as the result of your personalization.
Exactly. Yeah, we kind of realized that all things we're interested in are lists. It always came back to a list, and all our discussions on this, and so we really embraced the list idea, and it became more of a sorting problem, essentially.
Yeah, it's like a fancy sorting algorithm that is becoming super strong.
Yep,
that's super cool. I love it.
Yeah, and
sorry, go on.
No, I was saying just to show what you just described. So this is uniform.app, and you come in here and define intents. So this is unrelated to the site we just looked at, but you can come in here and define this. So these are event type.
You might want to zoom in a little, by the way.
I'm sorry.
No worries.
So this is a developer, intent tag in our system, and basically this is using a similar thing to what we kind of showed on the example, the job board site, with using behavior signals. And the thing you just described is the actual manifest that gets downloaded. This is basically just a JSON representation of all the signals that you have, all the intents you have defined in your app. And your application isn't fetching these when you at runtime. These get pulled at build time and actually get bundled into your application. So there's no runtime dependency on us. And if our uniform.app could be down completely, knock on wood, but we could be down completely and your site will still run because
this is the magic of no origins, baby.
Exactly. So it's bundled in your application. Yeah. So it's great.
When I explain this, I always say, "Look, Ma, no origins. Everything still works." It's what if I wanted to run next in dynamic mode? So not next generate, but actually in dynamic mode. It would then still be compiled into your bundle, right? So even if it's running dynamic and not Jamstack, you still have it in your bundle.
Exactly, and this what it sort of looks like. So we download this JSON file, and generally how we do this is we actually look at the package.json. We actually have a script. I don't have one here, but we generally have
your CLI stuff, right?
Yeah, we have a CLI, and basically it downloads this from our CDN, the file I just showed, and we end up just importing this into our application, and this gets bundled into your application. So it runs on build, and you should be running it as frequently as you think you're going to change intents. So if you're changing intents a lot, then you'll probably want to run it on each build and get the latest and greatest for each build of your site. So it depends on you, and you have the flexibility to do this, and it gets bundled in your application.
So is it possible from our dashboard to basically set up a webhook? So when I publish my intents, that I do a rebuild or something?
Exactly. Yeah. So if you go into your site settings, that you have your site set up in uniform.app, And there's all sorts of good options in here. But if you go to API keys, there is a webhooks.
Are we now showing a live API key on our stream? I love it.
No, those API keys are pre-shared.
Sure.
There's no harm in them. So so you can add a webhook in here to trigger a build when this site actually gets built, or if you publish your new intent manifest, this can fire off a webhook to do that. So
yeah, and that makes it all look really well. Oh, June just posted something. Let us try a cool feature of StreamYard. Look at this.
Yeah, so
Beam. Actually, June, you're completely right. We should actually. I want that on my hat, so it's in every video I do. Exactly. It's actually really fun. It's a good one. I've had like slides on conferences where this was my last slide, and then I didn't have to say anything else. Good fun.
Yeah.
Anyways, you have some. Well, what we might mention here, the part that I kind of like of this whole, like the local tracker thing, is that everything is a plugin into the tracker, right? Yeah. So if I wanted to write something else to track, maybe I want to use local storage or something crazy, I could actually do that in here and build my own, right?
Yeah, and this is the bare minimum you need to get up and running with the default tracker. Yeah, you can pass in custom storage providers. So you can, if you need to meet compliance rules where you don't want to store data in anything really, and you're leveraging client-side routing, you can store your data in memory, and then the visitor is only personalized while they're on the site. When they go away, all is forgotten, and you're not storing any data on that. And you can actually plug the storage methods in here and actually make that possible. So we ship. We have a facility for doing cookie storage, which has some pretty good use cases. IndexedDB as well, and also just in memory as well, which is just for as long as a visitor is available. But you can also implement your own if you want to store your data somewhere else. If you need to meet other constraints, or you have other places you want to store that data, you're able to do that. So,
and of course, Google Analytics plugs in here too, right?
It does. Yeah, I don't have that enabled, but there is an analytics plugin here you can pass in as well to actually, each personalization trigger, each personalization run will emit an event basically indicating the user has, that personalization has occurred, and you can basically see the effect of that personalization as well. And we also have some built-in mechanisms for doing testing, like control groups, I guess. A user might land in a control group, and personalization will run behind the scenes, but they won't actually see the result of that personalization. So you can see if the effect of your personalization, and to see how those two groups differ essentially, and you can control the percentage of those people that land in that control group. So
yeah, because you if you actually put all this in place, it would be nice to be able to prove that the conversion works by using your analytics tools, because that's the way board members want to see the graphs, right?
Exactly.
How about our Mac hackathon, or our Macathon demo, because that has a bit of commerce to it, and that might also be pretty interesting to have a look at.
Yeah, I like this. I like this site a lot, and it uses Algolia in a couple different ways. And I'll just run through run through this and show a couple different examples of that.
Yeah, so we have about 15 minutes. So if anyone also wants to ask a question, please feel free. If there are no questions, I think, Adam, you're just doing so well. It's all very clear. I love it.
Awesome.
There we go.
Yeah.
So what's the premise of this website?
So this is a sort of hypothetical conference, sort of what you described before. The conference for developers and marketers. Users can visit, look at sessions on here. They can also register. They can buy tickets, and they can also shop for merch. So on the homepage, we have a sort of a hero component here. This will be maybe the first thing that a user might see that's personalized. We have talks, so talks that might be most relevant to the visitor. We also have merch down here, and this merch is powered by Algolia as well. So we'll see some cool like little personalizations happen in this area as well.
Cool.
So if I just do behavior as well, I go to this developers page, I'm looking at it, it's interesting, and I go back to the homepage. It's sort of telling me to now take my development to the next level, and this is very fast personalization, and it's personalized for me. I'm now classified as a developer, and other things have also started to be personalized as well. So now I'm getting developer personalized talks for me as well, and basically indicating that these talks have been personalized for us. Yeah. And then if you go down to the merch, we're now getting developer merch. This is more specific to us, whereas before it would show something that represented maybe all visitors. Now we're getting developer themed most, so merch. So do you speak JS? I mean,
it's fun.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Certainly we do. Yes. This is what we speak. Exactly. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and now I just want to go to marketers as well. Get some more scoring. So now I see some marketers and developers talks as well. So things that are associated with both are now most relevant. And I also get a special. I
have a question on this part, Adam. So you. Oh wait, no. My question is answered by what I see, because my question was, hey, I have now 50 score on developer, 50 score on marketer. Why do I see marketers? But actually, it's marketing technologists. So this header is shown based on a score that's equal between two things, right?
Exactly. So if I actually if I went back, forget me, went to marketers, came back.
There we go.
I see a marketing one, but because I'm marketer and developer, I get a special kind of hero that indicates, I'm a little marketer, I'm a little developer. Very dangerous combination, probably.
Yes, exactly. Potentially 1,000 components for variations to be built, the more complex your system gets, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But that's part of the game with personalization.
Exactly. You can be as granular as you want, and with this, and you can target specific, groups of intents, and have those heroes. So you can be as granular as you want, essentially, with your different components. And if we also go to the merch list as well, now we're getting marketing technologists type, things that represent both. Cool. Shop merch as well, so we can get some marketing technologist bags or whatever. And I just really want to click this hoodie because we have some interesting interactions in there. So if I go into here, you can see our merch down here is pretty much the same as what we saw on the homepage. But if I want to start coming in here and I'm like starting to interact with this hero, this thing, I'm trying to pick out a color for my hoodie. You can see that now I've basically expressed an interest in blue here, and I want to show that basically I love blue, and now the site is going to be personalized. So our goal here was to hyper personalize the site. So now the different variants that are shown for the merch are going to be in blue as well. So we can add these little, we call them enrichments. You can have these enrichments that basically give you more granularity over the variants that are shown. So if I want to show gray instead, because I've expressed interest in gray, then that's great. And these can add together. You can have scores in multiple, but this particular thing we're expressing interest in one, and we're clearing out the rest. So you're not You're not accumulating score across colors. You're just expressing interest in one color essentially. So
I think what we should note, however, when you now click on a color, the page doesn't actually refresh, and the content just changes to something new. And so how does that work? Is this content already locally there? Do we have all variations of this, so we just show it? Or did we just ask Algolia?
We just asked Algolia, really using that code we just showed.
That's how fast an Algolia API call is then.
Exactly.
That's a little crazy.
You wouldn't even notice it if it was, because it's kind of below the fold for a lot of people.
Sure,
So
exactly.
you wouldn't even see that necessarily. And I expanded my browser enough so we could actually see that behavior or that little interaction. But behind the scenes, what happens is, you express interest in a color. The tracker reclassifies you, emits a new score. Algolia query runs because that score has changed at that point, and now we get this personalized merch list here that allows you to see very personalized and listing of products that I might be interested in. So
what is really fun about this for me looking into this, because I've worked for many, many years at agencies building these things for our clients, right?
yeah.
However, we didn't have Uniform and we didn't have all the super fancy tools because these kind of agencies work with bigger partners, bigger monolithical systems that are already there for a while.
Yeah.
And this was so hard to do. Like, of course you can do everything, right? It just costs time and money.
Yeah.
But trying to do this is so hard that a lot of developers don't even know about this because the MVP of those projects is never big enough to get here. So when I saw this, like, I've had many clients ask me for this stuff, and I always had to say, sure, just takes you 3 sprints of 3 weeks each.
Exactly.
Right? Because we have to do all the things together in that system, and we have to hook it in and blah, blah, blah. And now we did this in 4 days for the Mechathon. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, coming from agency, that this is pure magic, and that I hope that developers now start to see this as more normal and therefore also use it more or expect it.
Yep. Yeah, we always joke a little bit that personalization is one of those things that slips to the mythical phase 2 of a project. And
certainly,
our goal with Uniform, like our intro was super short with creating this, try to bring personalization into phase 1 and use it as little or as much as you want. Maybe start with that hero on the homepage. Maybe start with some small interactions and dip your toe in the water, because it doesn't take a lot of time to get up and running. And you can start matching intents to your different taxonomies, and then actually start having these small personalized experiences. So even if it's just a nav or a listing, like
exactly,
it could pay some benefits. So
like a lot of pages that we build now, or components, we can tag them with something, right? That's a normal thing to do already. Yeah. Well, if those tags just become intent tags, you're halfway there. You just have to put it in. And then at one point when you're ready to personalize, you just start looking at those intent tags and do something with it.
Yeah, I think a lot of sites have existing taxonomies as well.
Yeah,
so if you map those taxonomies in some way to intent tags that represent it, maybe group them or maybe create one for each, then you can leverage your existing taxonomy basically, and use that to power these sort of interactions as well. So
yeah, I cannot wait to start using this more. It's going to be fun. I'm not here to just say how awesome Uniform is. It's just the concept is so alien to me, coming from agencies working on this, that we always wanted it but just never could. And now it's so close. I'm going to have to build something. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Hey, is there one last thing you wanted to show on the website?
I think that covers the high levels here. So
and what happens if
features like this has a BigCommerce integration as well.
Yeah, exactly. I'm interested in that. Let's have a look.
Okay, so if we go in here and add a product to our cart, we can do the whole checkout with BigCommerce as well. This is kind of interesting situation here. So we made some action. We have something in our cart, and if we go back to our homepage, you can configure intents to be sort of overrides. So if you have any strength at all, basically in that intent, in this case, we have an intent that basically says you have something in the cart. So if you have anything at all in your cart, it'll go, hey, are you ready to check out? Because that's the goal, right? You want people to buy merch and buy things on your site. So you can have little call outs here. That's what we're leveraging here. We have an intent our intent that basically is an override on this variant. And if you have anything in that has something in cart intent, then it basically shows that hero. But the second I go here and actually remove my cart, automatically, no page reload at all, we're back to our marketing technologists, because we no longer have that intent. When you remove something from your cart, we removed that score, and now we're just back to regular old Mac marketing technologists. And you can control the behavior of these on a code level. You can push things as you see fit, as users do interactions. If you drop a cookie, we can pick up that detection. We can detect that as well and trigger signals based on cookies. And so there's all sorts of ways you can get intent strength.
So when you now just clicked add to cart, right? On the button click, did we then bind some sort of a tracker thing in the code?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. And I think there might be some events in the cart as well.
Oh, but it might be opening the cart that triggers the event potentially.
Yeah, I think what we're doing here is when you add to cart, we basically take the price of the hoodie, essentially, we push that into the tracker. So if you have a lot of a particular product in your cart, maybe you have $1,000 worth of merch in your cart. You could have an intent that only triggered at a certain point. So if you had a lot of things in your cart, at that point we could trigger an intent based on that, or show a variant based on that. So we're using the score here to actually kind of like basically say how strongly we're represented in this particular intent. So when we add it in, that score gets added. When we remove it, that intent gets removed, and sort of things just rerun again with our updated score, essentially. So
cool. I cannot wait to try this out, where we kind of have a bit bigger stories where people maybe buy product that, let's say, some sort of skincare thing that might be a product that you buy every 3 months. Yep. And then you can maybe even predict like your skin might be better now, and then actually show something different based on that personalization. Exactly. But then also never ever show them the opposite product anymore.
Exactly.
Right? It's so much nicer for a user. And if you then store that somewhere, when you're in store and somebody helps you, that they also know that, right? It doesn't have to be just websites. It can be more omni-channel.
Exactly.
Anyways, we're digressing a little. I think we're reaching the hour. Dude, I really want to thank you for showing a little bit more, like more complex use cases and how that works in the code and how we can actually really work together with Algolia. I think that's a great thing as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thanks, man. Awesome.
Yeah, no problem. And this Macathon demo is open source. So if anyone wants to check it out and see the different personalizations scenarios that are shown here, that it's on you can find it on our GitHub, Uniform GitHub, and check it out.
Okay, I will certainly do that myself. Anyways, cheers. Thanks everybody for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.